No, I haven't spoken to him recently, but listen, I do think people are unifying in the party. I think you'll see a lot of that tonight. I think you've seen a lot of that since Saturday. But I've told a lot of people too, I've been seeing that really over the last several weeks or months, and certainly since the debate in Atlanta. I think everybody, the closer you get, the more both parties normally unify. We're certainly seeing a big split on the Democratic side right now, but I think Republicans are unifying for one reason. We can't afford 4 more years of Joe Biden.
You did not vote for President Trump during the primary. I'm assuming that means you're going to vote for him in the general election.
Well, I didn't vote against him either. I just didn't
Fair
vote.
point.
Didn't vote for anybody because the race was really over when it got to November or when it got to the primary in Georgia. But I've said all along, look, way long time ago when the nominating process started on the Republican side, I was going to support the nominee, support the ticket, and so that's what I'll be doing.
I do want to ask you about the case that the former president is facing in Fulton County. Obviously, given the pace of the proceedings, it doesn't seem like that's going to be figured out in the courtroom before the election. If the former president wins in November, would you support a pardon for him?
Well, I would just say I got to be very careful about what I say in regards to that case because I'm a subpoenaed witness to that case. So I wouldn't want to weigh in on your question. Not that I'm trying to dodge it. We'll see. I'm like you. I don't think that case is going to go to trial before November. I think, quite honestly, a lot of people around the country feel like all these cases have been politically motivated, and certainly there's been other instances in the Fulton County case that have created other issues that have delayed the trial. So, we just got to let all that play out. But I'll be honest with you, I think the Democrats have overplayed their hand on a lot of those things. I think people are tired of all of that. They're ready to just go vote and let the election decide all this.
I'm curious to get your thoughts on what we saw last night following the attempted assassination of President Trump over the weekend. His triumphant return to an audience that adores him. What was going through your mind when you saw him come out and get that reception?
Well, regardless of how you feel, whether you're a Republican or Democrat or don't care, I mean, to see him come back from what happened Saturday, I mean, that just shows the spirit of America to me. With President Biden calling him over the weekend, I think the two first ladies have spoken as well. It really shows the true fabric of our country, and I hope as the campaign moves on, we'll continue to see that spirit and fight hard and campaign hard and go to the ballot box with vigor for your candidate. But this violence and really some of the overtop rhetoric, I think it's time to just for as much as we can in a blood sport like politics, calm those things down.
And to that point, what did you think last night when some of the speakers were referring to President Biden as senile, and there were folks that said that Democrats are dangerous for the country? Does that cross the line in your mind, given the
Well, listen, I think there's a lot of things that have been said on the other side that you can make the case that, it incited, some of the animosity against President Trump. I think you can also say that there's been rhetoric on the Republican side in the same case for Joe Biden. And I think it's incumbent on all of us to really be careful about what we're saying, but also be graceful and forgiving to people. If they have a slip of the tongue and say something like it's going to be a bloodbath, or, we need to put them in the crosshairs, meaning we need to focus on them, not shoot them. We got to be realistic, too, in this world that, everybody's fighting for their position hard. Let's just be respectful and let's make this election about policy. I personally think if Donald Trump does that, if he speaks to the future and tells people what we're for, the chairman of the party, Mike Wadley, said the same thing. It's an opportunity for Republicans this week to tell people that are undecided why they should vote for us on policy issues. Now is the time to do that.
And do you think President Trump himself will tone down the rhetoric during his speech?
Well, I can't speak for former President Trump, but I think he has a great opportunity to do that. I mean, I'm not saying you don't fight hard for your position, but I also think this is a great opportunity for him to show thanks and humility as to what happened, and the prayers that people are given to really remember the loss of life from Saturday, those that are injured, people that will be affected for decades by that day in this country. and let's make ourselves better every day. Let's make the country better. Let's tell people what we're going to do to make the country better. And I think Donald Trump has a strong case to do that based on his record versus Joe Biden's.